I've decided to show you two versions of the T.O.D, but the basic setup is identical for both. I've liked to start with a simplified version. It's less complicated to build, but the controls are more sensitive, and it took me another 6 to 8 hours to get used to it. However, I actually prefer this one now. The second version is the one with the glittering pulley. It takes more work to build and ultimately more space, but it's more beginner friendly. The first thing you need is an extra fluffy support dog that reminds you to go out sometimes. It can work without one, but I'm not sure. Next is this wooden slot, which I connected to the remaining of the handrail using angle brackets, screws and nuts. Sawing off the handrail and drilling the holes are the only metalwork I did. These nuts actually serve a purpose. They allow you to precisely adjust the height of the wooden slot, which will be important later. Now I will show you this box, and then we will go up step by step. The box is 11 x 19 cm or 4.3 x 7.4 inches. I made it much bigger than the mouse, so I can easily swap it out for another one, and maybe because I already had this box lying around. The screws on the side are there to help clamp and align the mouse. The nuts on the inside are simply attached with hot glue. I put some foam inside to keep the mouse secure and prevent damage. On the front I made a notch to thread the cable through and used a cable tie to keep it away from the treadmill. Only later did I realize I couldn't reach the DPI button, so I drilled a hole in the top. One level above we have the steering wheel. It's made from 5 wooden discs, 2 smaller ones over which the rope runs and 3 larger ones that keep it in place. The larger ones don't need to be perfectly sized. At least mine aren't. I made a paper model of it to explain it and because I felt like crafting. In total I made 3 versions with different diameters. I'm most comfortable with the 11 cm version. Sometime I will make a smaller one with about 6 cm. Then it should be possible to walk backwards with it. But getting used to walking forwards while simultaneously walking backwards in game will probably make my head explode. I screwed the ropes in place a little over 3/4 of the way. One to the left and one to the right. Now we come to the turning thingy. It's simply an old rotating rollerboard wheel. I removed the wheel with a handsaw, turned it upside down and screwed it to the wooden slot. During the construction I had the choice between a larger and a smaller one. If I were to build it again, I would choose the smaller wheel this time. It would have allowed everything to be smaller and lighter. It's very important that when you connect the box, steering wheel and the modified wheel, everything is centered. The mouse laser should be positioned as directly as possible under the pivot point. Otherwise you will get a strange wobble with every turn, which makes you dizzy and can cause you to trip. But that never happens to me. The next parts are the bridge and the pulley block. The bridge is a simple board that I screw to the wooden slot to adjust the distance between the block and the steering wheel. This is only necessary if you have several wheels of significant different sizes. If I would build it again, I would ditch the distance mechanism and screw the block directly under the board. The block's function is to reverse the direction of the pull. Without it, turning right would make you walk to the left in game and vice versa. I simply drilled 2 holes diagonally through a block and filed them smooth to protect the rope. When attaching it, make sure the holes are roughly at the same height as the steering wheel. This prevents the line from slipping off. The glitter effect on everything comes from a foil that enhances the immersion of standing on a VR device from a cool 90s movie. Since we are sensible adults, we obviously don't use anything like that in our house, except for this VR device. The footrail is actually working quite well, but I'm going to modify it and extend it at the back. It's currently 13 cm or 5 inches high, and I want to increase that to 20 cm or 8 inches. I simply attached it to the treadmill's plastic rail with 3 hex screws each. To do this, I carefully drilled larger holes in the first layer and then drilled holes in the second layer to fit the screws. It's important that the rail ends precisely at the edge, or even better, protrudes slightly. Otherwise you will constantly feel the edge. Another important tip, if you're using smooth hard boards like I did, wear shoes while playing. Now we're going over all of this, and we'll start with my backpack belt combination. And to be honest, the name says it all. The buckle is a simple plastic one that has held up very well so far, but I'll replace it with something sturdier when I find something. I don't even remember where I got the belt. It's the same smooth, soft material as a car seat belt. That will be important in a moment. The two chest straps, or in my case, the chest strap and the belly strap, help to distribute the force. The belly strap absorbs more of the force, while the chest strap ensures that the loops of the backpack don't slip. This thing is on both sides, and it's the only connection between the belt and the backpack. It is sewn securely to the belt and then simply attached to the arm straps of the backpack with this carabiner. And here you can see the only connection between me and my mount. The ring is a closed steer ring, and here it's important that the belt is made of a smooth material so that it can slip easily and doesn't create any drag even when the belt folds. It might look weak, but as you've already seen, it holds up very, very well. And believe me, I tripped a lot during testing, but I never hit the ground thanks to this construction. The string on the backside that connects the ring and the mount is paracord, which should withstand 300 kg or 600 pounds. This metal thing here was from an old hanging chair, so I'm pretty sure it can take my weight. And now the mount. The backrest might look high quality, but it's actually just a piece of carpet roll covered in fake fur. There's not much else to say about the construction. It's all metal connectors, brackets and a lot of screws. The angled slots are there to absorb the leverage. All the white stuff you see on the joints is silicone to hold everything together firmly but flexible. I will definitely tinker with the construction again, if only because I want to attach a seat to it. But I really like the backrest very, very much. It gives me a sense of security, so I always know exactly where I am. We have a wooden floor, so I actually screwed the beam to the floor with 4 brackets and a lot of screws. With this version, it is important that the cables are under tension. Otherwise, they won't stay on the steering wheel and maneuvering in-game will become very wanky. On the other hand, don't tighten them too much or something will break. At best, the cables will just snap. Now I will show you the second version with the glittering tube. With this setup, the lower box automatically pulls straight. The advantage is that the bands don't need to be under tension. This gives you a certain degree of freedom of movement. You don't always have to walk perfectly straight, and if, for example, you rotate your shoulder while aiming, you won't immediately start walking sideways. On the other hand, the controls are a bit slower, but you get used to them way quicker. The whole thing is basically a pulley with a weight in this tube. If you ask why I use a tube, well, the reason sits here. She's very curious and would attack the dangling weight all the time. The tube is just another piece of carpet roll into which I cut a slit for the rope. Then it goes out and is redirected by another roll. I attached it to the screw that were already there, and yeah, that's it. Do you know those weirdos who remove screws and nuts before throwing something away? Or who keep boards because they might need them someday? Well, that's me. And that's why I didn't use uniform screws and used some really strange parts. I'm pretty sure many of my parts could have been printed 3D. But when I build something, I usually only know what the goal is, not how to achieve it. So I just start tinkering and then improve things later. Finally, I want to say this isn't meant to be a step-by-step guide. Nothing about this project is set in stone. I just want to show how I did it and hope you will come up with your own ideas and improvements. If you have any questions or ideas, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'm the Grumpy Old Dumpling. Have a great week, stay safe and have fun. Goodbye!